Mic check. Good morning, everyone. And how are you? Let's try that again. Welcome to day 11 of the Ronald Anthony Burgos-Aviles trial. Today, we expect the state to rest their case. Yes. So, we will probably see the... You'll probably see the cross-examination of Dana Sarkis. She was from the Webb County Jail, and she's the lady who monitors the inmates' communications. Emails, phone calls, everything. And so... Buenos dias. Ritz says, Buenos dias, G. Buenos dias, Ritz. And so that is what we are waiting for, cross-examination. And then I'm sure the defense, you know, they're going to be cross-examining the witness, and then there'll be a bit of a rebuttal, and then we'll move on, and the state will rest their case. So welcome. Thank you so much all for watching the trial with me. I really appreciate it. I'm sure you guys saw my community post. We're not going to talk about that too much here today because I want to pay respect, as I always say, to these victims, to this case. We want to focus on this case. We are here for Grizelda and Dominic and their family. But thank you all for understanding and commenting over there. Okay. So, you know how the court said they're going to start at 8:45? Well, now it's 9:15. This is a daily average, would be 9:20 to 9:30. Yes. So we're still waiting for the court. I just thought we would go live now and just start talking a little bit because they could be here any minute now. Any minute now. Okay. So I hope that you guys are well. Hope that did you watch the replay? Did you listen to those calls again? I tried to, in the timestamps, transcribe some of them for you. It was very difficult to hear, but I must say, listening to the calls again on 0.75 speed and with earphones on and then earphones off and then again, it did help a little bit. But still, we couldn't quite clearly hear Amy, Burgos' wife. I do also want to say that yesterday after the live stream, I noticed that Law and Crime Network had taken their stream down. That's what you guys were saying in the chat, and I'm like, no, it's probably just processing or something. But they did actually take it down because the judge apparently asked them to, based on sensitive information shared, which would be Amy's phone number, I would assume. And that's what we were going on about in the trial, during it as well, of like, wow, they're just going to read her phone number just like that. And some people said, well, she probably changed it because she moved to Florida. But the thing is, she probably didn't. If you saw the judge, it looked like he took his phone and he sat like this frowning. And I think he was typing to Amy just to give her a heads up. That's what I'm speculating. But I think he was typing to her to give her a heads up of like, I'm so sorry. They've just put your number out there. So don't take any weird calls or anything you don't know. So there's that. And then the judge, Joe Lopez, asked Law and Crime Network, please just edit that out. So it is edited out on my post. It was all of 5 seconds where they, on my trial live stream from yesterday. It was about 5 seconds where they read out the number. Yes. Lakota, you say you're the best. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. That's right. Gerda says, for the family, I'm glad this trial's almost over. It's been a long wait to see justice. Yes, indeed, it really has, Gerda. Also, welcome to all the new members. I missed a few. Robin Shermantine, welcome. If I missed any other stickers or anything, I'm so sorry. I'm here now. And we'll check them afterwards. Studied Casual says, Grizzly to Crime. Someone said now, the court TV. Okay, well, that's great for them. Then we could all watch it over there, right? I would have to obtain those from the Laredo County Sheriff's Department. And as I told you yesterday, Letitia Stauch's jail calls are $7,000 for 160 hours of hearing her voice. Which I don't want it. Do we want to hear her voice for 160 hours? I don't think so. But in this case, yes, one could order some of those calls. Usually you would have to wait for the trial to be done. Sentencing, he's convicted already, unanimous guilty verdict. But the sentencing and all that before you can even request FOIA files and jail calls and things like that. Hasina says, just finished the replay watching yesterday morning statements from Grizelda's mom and sister. Very heartbreaking. Love and light to the family. Thank you so much, Hasina. Yeah, that was very, very difficult. And I'm thinking that if the state rests their case, then the defense will probably, yes, present their case, which I don't know who they're going to bring up or what's going to happen there. But that could wrap up pretty quickly. Although at this rate, it could take a while with their timing, right? The court's a little tardy. And so just a little bit. And so there will probably be a time for victim impact statements. I assume that would be part of the process as well. These were witness testimonies, not necessarily the victim impact statements, because they weren't directly addressing the defendant. Normally in a victim impact statement, they directly address the defendant, which if that's going to be happening, which should be part of the process, I can't wait for. You know, so I don't think so. Says, please hit that thumbs up. Thank you for being a member for 8 months. Really, really appreciate it. And yes, welcome to all my moderators. Thank you so much for everything you do. You guys make me so proud and keep the community grizzly, as we say, which is a grizzly bear standard. Kind and respectful to all victims of crime and their families and friends. Thank you so much, mods. Welcome to all my patrons, to all my members, and all the new subscribers. There's a lot of new people that have subscribed, and I'm so grateful. Thank you for being here. Please like and share. Actually, today I've been so out of sorts, which if you read my community post, you'll understand why I've been so upset for a few days already now. But okay, you could go read the post and you'll see what that's all about. That I actually forgot to share this with my patrons. I'm really sorry. Michelle Underdown, thank you so much for your £3 super sticker. Really appreciate it. And Ritz says, yes, still thinking about Mary and Angelica's testimony the other day. Tough ladies. That's right. Jan Hill says, remember everyone, keep it grizzly. No fashion or body shaming, bullying messages. This is about justice for Grizelda and Dominic. If you are brand new here, because every day there's new people here that are like, what are you guys doing? What is this case about? What are we looking at, guys? This is a death penalty trial of a former Border Patrol supervisory officer, Ronald Burgos-Aviles, who's now 33 years old. He was 28 years old at the time of the crime. And this happened on April 9th of 2018, and he was detained within 1 hour. Yeah. His plan was so not smart. It's horrible. And so he had lured an ex-girlfriend who he got pregnant and who had their son, Dominic Hernandez, to a park that she knew very well. She knew this park her whole life. She'd been there. The Father McNaboe Park in Laredo, Texas. And so she went there to meet up with him, which would be the second time that he'd be meeting his son. And she was really hopeful that he would want to see his son and start a relationship with his son because, you know, she's like, I'll just have to explain to him one day his dad doesn't want him around, you know, which is horrible. And so they already met up on March 25th of 2018, and Dominic's leg was injected with something, and we still don't know what, but he couldn't walk from that day on. His leg was red and inflamed, and he couldn't walk, and he got necrosis, which is the tissue not doing very well, right? And so when Grizelda had taken him to the doctor, everyone thought at first it could be like an insect bite, could it be a spider bite, could it be a sting, what is it? He's like, lol, could be a bumblebee sting. Oh my gosh. And so that was March 25th. So she had taken, Grizelda had taken Dominic to doctors, to the emergency room, and they were treating the injury and, you know, saying, well, let's give him some antibiotics, let's see if the inflammation goes down and all of that. So they were doing what doctors would do. No one would suspect, oh my word, he was injected with an 18-gauge needle, right? So when Grizelda was going to take Dominic to the hospital, she told Ronald Burgos-Aviles about it, and he said, no, come and meet with me, let me check it out. Spend some time with Dominic, and he lured her to the Father McNaboe Park. She borrowed her sister's car, a white Mercedes-Benz that he knew about. We saw the text messages as well. Welcome, Janet. And man, he asked her to, you know, we didn't see those text messages of how he got her to walk to where she did, which was more in nature. But then he ambushed them and stabbed her 27 times. Then carried the baby little distance off and stabbed Dominic twice. It is interesting, as we've said, it might just be coincidence, but she was 27 years old and he stabbed her 27 times, and Dominic was 18 months old, so almost 2, and he stabbed Dominic twice. Horrible. Texas Horse Rescue says, so proud to be a Grizzly. Thank you, G, for your exceptional coverage. Classy commentary. We are proud to be part of this amazing community that stands for victims with kindness and love. Thank you so much, Texas Horse Rescue. I really appreciate it. Okay. So, I see some of you saying, where is the... If you go to my channel, it's like home, videos, live streams, shorts, community. That's where the community stuff is. I see the judge. I see the judge. Can't hear the judge.
You have,
Now I can. Okay. So, we can see the judge. Welcome to day 11, morning session. The state will rest their case today. We shall see what happens from here and how the court schedule will work today. Will they be on time for the rest of the day or not? Just Melissa, welcome to Grizzly $2 supporter. Vanessa, my Twitter is @TrueCrimeGizzler, so you can find me there. I did also screenshot my community post and put it on Twitter. All my official links are on grizzlytruecrime.com, okay? Yes, here comes the judge. Yeah, here's the defendant. Burgos.
Reflected, the defendant is in the courtroom, present with counsel.
Oh man, he's upping him. Oh no. Boggs being... See now why... I'm not saying this is permission now to go off on Boggs to attack him. But I could tell you now, if Thea did what he just did, you guys would be all over that. Not all of you, but those ones that like to just pick Thea apart. I can see she's not
Campbell,
in the courtroom now.
Please come forward.
Oh, Dr. Campbell. Okay, so there's Thea. There we go.
All the way over here, sir. Thank you.
Now, where is
Good
that
morning.
Dana Sarkis?
Right over here with us. Right over here with me. Yeah. Thank you. This is Fabian Vasquez. He'll be taking your oath, sir. Please raise your right hand.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. You're going to have a seat right up here. Please go around the court porter. Get as comfortable as you can. Pull up to the mic, and we'll be ready to proceed with this examination. It's a voir dire examination of you before we decide whether you're going to testify in front of the jury or not.
Okay. I don't have to bend down to this thing.
I don't think you do. I hope not. That'd be a lot of bending for you. The court reporter's right there, right below you there, Cindy. So this is a voir dire examination, so under the rules, right? They get to start the examination, or
Sure, if they'd like, yeah.
or if you want to pass that on, whatever you'd like.
It wasn't, I don't believe there was a...
It is not a motion. It's not a Daubert or that type of motion, is it? It's a. Let's see what the rules say.
Don't say
I
downward
believe that-
motion. We don't want to see that.
In other words, you're the ones that are contesting his. But if you want to do it the other way, it doesn't matter. Whatever y'all decide to do. But 1 second.
No, Dalbert. Let's drink coffee. That's what we need, you guys. Thank you for the coffees.
Let's see. Mr. Grizelda and I were bumping our heads with the other name that we have for this type of hearing.
Yeah, I'll go first. I'll go first, Your Honor, if you allow me to go first. I don't think the defense has an issue with it.
Well, the only thing you have so far is what they've given you with regard to what he intends to testify to. So,
But we really don't. I don't know what he's going to
yeah, so you're in the dark with regard to what you intend to testify to. So why don't we get to that portion, and then once that portion is, or let's just start it out. However, do you have any objection to letting us know what his qualifications are, what he intends to testify to, and then you can come back with him with whatever it is after we take them.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. We'll do it that way, Mr.
Sure.
Sir,
Someone-
would you please state your name for the record?
Someone
My
said
name
this
is
is his
Howard
mom.
Blaine Campbell.
Howard.
And, Mr. Campbell, are you presently employed?
Yes, I'm a professor at the University of Texas at El Paso.
And,
Let me ask you something, if you can. Could you just slide, no, don't bend, just slide the right to the edge of that little counter.
Gotcha.
Perfect, thank you.
Your Honor.
Defense's
How
witness.
long have you been at the University of Texas at El Paso?
32 years.
And what is your area as a professor?
I'm a cultural anthropologist. I'm also the chairman of the Department of Sociology and Anthropology at the University of Texas, El Paso. By the way, we call it UTEP, so I'll probably say that.
Yeah, let's do that. UTEP would be good. Anybody have objection to that?
No objection.
The minors, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Can you all hear
First
us?
all
It's
African American
boosted.
national champion, NCAA champions, weren't they? Sorry.
But they lost
1966.
UTSA.
Huh?
I'm kidding. I'm not from UTSA.
The triangle offense, right? Anyway, sorry.
All right.
Judge, may I approach the witness?
Yes, sir.
I'm marking this as Exhibit Defense 12, which I've given to the district attorney a few days ago.
No objections.
And
I can imagine, warrior woman.
Dr. Campbell,
Yes.
could you tell us what that document is?
This is my curriculum vitae. That is all the work I've done as a professor, as an anthropologist.
And is that a true and accurate copy of your CV?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Judge, at this time, I'd ask that it be admitted into evidence as Defendant's Exhibit 12.
That be a court exhibit, non-jury, non-jury exhibit?
This one would be going to the
Eventually.
jury. So this one, I think we're okay with Defendant Exhibit 12.
Yes, sir.
It's a report, if he had it, that may not go in, so that's why I wanted to do
Fine, no objection.
that. Wait a minute. When subject to actually he being qualified, then it would go in. Otherwise, you're right, it would not go in. So let's, it'll be called Defendant's, what, 12?
12, yes, sir.
Subject to the expert being allowed to testify in front of the jury. If not, it would be then withdrawn
Thank you.
as a non-jury.
And you said you're a professor of anthropology?
Correct.
And what does anthropology mean, sir?
It's the study of human culture, basically everything that people do, but as part of groups. So it refers to our language, our food practices, our religion, the patterns of our behavior.
Okay. And could you describe your educational background?
Yes, as an undergraduate, I went to the University of Idaho, in my home state of Idaho, and I have a PhD and 2 master's degrees from the University of Wisconsin-Madison.
Okay. And this is page 1 of your curriculum vitae, sir? All right. And then your areas of what are your areas of specialization?
Especially Mexico and Mexican culture, the culture of the U.S.-Mexico border, and drug trafficking. The first half of my career I was focused more on things internal to Mexico. The second half of my career has been focused on the U.S.-Mexico border.
And you said you're the chair of the Department of Sociology and Anthropology at UTEP?
Right, it's an administrative position.
And do you hold any appointments?
Yes, I have an endowed chair.
Yes. Thank you.
Sorry. It's the endowed professor of Western Hemispheric Trade Policy Studies. It's a fancy name, but it just means that I'm a specialist on the U.S.-Mexico border. But it's a recognition for doing a lot of research and publications.
And you mentioned publications. I'm showing on the overhead projector it's still page 1 of your CV. Are these some of your publications, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, for instance, just 2 years ago, you published on Downtown Juarez, The Underworlds of Violence and Abuse.
Yes, sir.
Is that right? And then have you published in peer-reviewed journals?
I have, yes.
Okay. And I'm now putting on the overhead projector page 2 of your CV. Do these represent some of your peer-reviewed journals?
Yes, sir.
Publications? And what does it mean to be peer-reviewed?
It means other scholars review my work and decide whether it's good enough to be published.
What is the court doing, guys?
And so have you worked with Border Patrol agents?
Yes, sir.
And what has been your experience with Border Patrol agents?
Well, since I study, over the last 20 years, I've been studying crime, especially drug trafficking. And so, of course, I also study the flip side of that, which is law enforcement. And so I've interviewed many Border Patrol agents and DEA agents and FBI agents. But in addition to my formal research and interviews, I'm married into a local family in El Paso, and my wife has a very large family, and it's a family of Mexican immigrants. Many of her generation, her father was a farm worker, but her generation, many of them became Border Patrol agents, so I know them personally. But growing up in living in a border city, as I do, such as, say, Laredo, one spends an awful lot of time interacting with Border Patrol agents, whether it be at schools where my daughters went to school because the parents are Border Patrol agents, or in the supermarket, or at the university, or around town. I would add that UTEP has 1,200 criminal justice majors. So over the last 32 years, I've taught hundreds, if not thousands, of people that went from UTEP and went on into law enforcement, and many of those went into the Border Patrol. So I feel like on a personal level and on a professional level, I've had a great deal of interaction with the Border Patrol.
So you've taught a great number of Border Patrol agents at the university, is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, some of them were existing agents that would come even in uniform to class, but most of them were people that they aspired to be Border Patrol agents, and they became agents.
Okay. So you can speak about the culture of the Border Patrol. Is that a fair inference from your experience and qualifications, sir?
Yes, sir.
And are you here to do an individual or give an individual opinion or assessment of Mr. Burgos-Aviles?
No, I'm not.
And you're not are you a psychologist, sir?
No.
So one of the things I want to make sure before we get started, because this is a 705 hearing, finally, okay. It's basically just a hearing in which normally the ones who are asking for the hearing would go first. And it deals only with the voir dire examination of the expert about the facts and data that are underlying his opinion. Okay, it's not a full-fledged. Now they could. The Supreme Court has said that after that, they could make even an oral motion to strike the expert. And but in any event, the examination takes place only for purposes of determining whether what the facts and underlying data are about his opinion. So that's what 705 says, and of course it potentially doesn't end there, depending on what happens throughout the examination. So just so that we know, it basically, and then it has a comment that basically says the opponent's right to voir dire the witness about his expert qualification is left undisturbed. All right. So anyway,
I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
I still didn't find out what he was going to open.
what his opinion is going to be. I think we should at least start. Now, you don't have to. You can ask him right off the bat when you come up, what is your opinion going to be, and what were you hired to do, what is your opinion going to be? And then once he tells you, then you can go into the underlying facts and data of that opinion. Or you can ask him yourself, and then we can get started from there.
Have you testified before, sir, in court cases?
Yes.
And have you testified before Congress, for instance?
Yes, I testified in front of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee about drug violence in Mexico and on the border.
And did that involve Border Patrol?
It involved law enforcement.
Okay. Now,
generally.
In regards to this case, what would be your opinions, or what have I asked you to testify about?
About the culture of the U.S.-Mexico border and the role of the Border Patrol in the border culture.
At this time, I pass the witness.
The culture of the Mexican border and what else? And the role of Border Patrol?
Yes, within that culture, within that society.
Okay. one of the things that they tell us in the rules is that normally, they said one of the drawbacks in a criminal case of as opposed to a civil case, you have an expert come in and give an opinion, is that you could be asking his opinions, and then at some point during your examination, examination could be stopped, jury could be put out or walked out, and then we could the board hour examination could take place at that point, and then of course the underlying facts and data of the opinion could come in then. The court will then determine whether or not it's connected, and
That's right, Melissa.
and make a decision then.
This is what we call throwing stuff at the wall to see what sticks.
At that point, then the state could move to strike the particular expert orally, because the Supreme Court said they could do it at that point, and then he would testify. The drawback from that would be that, of course, the jury would have already heard some of his opinions, if not all. So, in any event, we're doing it now to prevent that from occurring, or prevent that little bit that may have been told to the jury about his opinions and whatnot. So right now, the only thing I got is a general opinion with regard to, so he's not going to give any opinion specifically about Mr. Burgos.
That is true, Your Honor.
Okay.
All I'd also say is that, of course, the court knows that our mitigation case is allowed to be very broad, and that
It is.
anything that the jury may find mitigating is up to them individually. And of course, Mr. Burgos-Aviles' service as a Border Patrol agent is an important part of his life story.
Yes.
I'd also say, Judge, that, and I apologize, did I?
No, go ahead, sir.
Is that, of course, the state has made issues of certain Mr. Burgos-Aviles' service as a Border Patrol agent. I believe Mr. Alanis opened on the threat behind the badge and spoke about his training as a Border Patrol agent and about how he knew, and it's been a continuous part of their case. So in order to address and rebut the state's aggravating factors, which they've introduced to this jury, things like foul language, things like infidelity, things like...
So I get that. So you're going to, again, the expert that you have here is someone who is extremely knowledgeable in the, what he just said was the culture of Border Patrol in that area, in border cities and border towns. El Paso, although bigger than Laredo, is a border city with Mexico and has a large Border Patrol population.
Yes, sir.
And in general, he's going to give opinions with regard to that effect and that culture.
Faith is like, is this his
And
wife?
your argument to the court
I'm
is that
waiting
should
for
be
them to
allowed
show
in
that view
because
again.
it's mitigating
It could be.
For,
We saw
in
that
this
lady the
particular
other day
Yes,
as well.
sir. All right.
Here, this one. No, wait.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, is it this
Mr.
one?
Alanis, go ahead.
Could this be his wife?
All right,
Maybe.
thank you.
Apparently,
No, that's
this is his mom, and this is his grandma. Is that correct? That's what
I
people
would
have
just,
screenshotted and showed
I
me.
would just like to respond briefly to Mr. Boggs' statement.
Yes, Johnny.
One of our main theories has been and always will be that Mr. Burgos was on duty when he committed this offense, and that's the extent of being behind the badge, that he was on the clock when he committed this, not that it as broad as stated, but I just put that out there for the court.
Sure. Thank you, sir.
And welcome, Dr. Campbell.
Yes, sir.
And like the judge said, we're just trying to determine what you're going to testify for in this case, or what your main purpose is here. Have you ever taught at the Border Patrol Academy in Artesia, New Mexico?
No, sir.
Have you been able to study the manual of and the sources from the Border Patrol Academy
No, sir.
for this hearing?
No.
So you're not familiar with the policies, procedures, and other rules? If I can.
Go ahead, sir. I'm writing my notes down. Tell me your first name again.
Howard.
Howard. Thank you, sir.
Oh my word, you guys. The court hasn't even started really yet. Just when you think it can't get worse, it can. This is just to see if this witness will be qualified to testify. And I think it's the defense's witness, yes.
Yeah, it's 515.8 and 515.9.
Oh my word, Pistol
I'm
Amy.
going to show you State Exhibit 515.8 and 515.9.
It does look like her, right? Dinora Vasquez.
Document.
Jean is like, here we go again. Can you believe it?
Can you read what it says here on the top of?
Yes, it says Lesson 3, Applied Authorities, Part 1.
I'm going to hand you 515.9.
And this is Lesson 2, Applied Authorities, Part 2.
Okay. Are you familiar with these training manuals from Border Patrol?
No, sir.
Okay. Are you familiar with the promotion process and grading levels of the Border Patrol?
To the extent that it's been studied extensively by a sociologist named Robert Lee Merrill, who described the process of how Border Patrol agents were promoted and became supervisors.
And are you familiar with that?
From his work, I have not personally studied that aspect of it.
Oh, okay. So, but that would be through another person's information.
Right, a leading scholar of the border.
Okay. You testified right now to the court that your opinions that you have been able to rely on, or your findings or conclusions, are based on having family members in the Border Patrol, correct? Or relatives? Relatives?
Yes, but also hundreds, if not thousands, of students that either were Border Patrol agents or became Border Patrol agents, and I've interviewed many Border Patrol agents for my published books and articles.
I understand, but I'm gonna go one question at a
Okay.
time through this whole
Yes, sir.
process. Which, like you said, it does include, it does include the many hundreds of students that you've taught, many of which have gone through Border Patrol Academy and become Border Patrol agents, right?
Yes, sir.
You know how many Border Patrol agents are in El Paso?
I really don't. I know it's thousands, but I don't know the exact number.
Do you know how many Border Patrol agents are employed in the United States of America?
It's tens of thousands, but I do not know the exact number.
So a little over 20,000 agents in the United States Border Patrol. Did you know that?
Yes.
Okay. I'm also going to show you what's been marked. States Exhibit 43. This is if you can just read into the record what that is.
Yes, it says United States Border Patrol Supervisory Technical Training Course.
Okay. Are you familiar with the contents of this manual?
No, sir.
Do you have personal knowledge of the events before this court from which you based your opinion on?
You're
From the
talking
events in
about-
this case?
Yes, I've read documents about this case.
Okay. You're familiar that Mr. Ronald Anthony Burgos-Aviles was a supervisor of the United States Border Patrol,
Yes, sir.
and that he was on duty at the time?
Agenda, I believe we're beyond the qualifications of
Well, I mean,
I'm trying to just...
other than determining, then asking him broadly, what is the factual basis and data of your opinion, I think Mr. Alanis is taking the route of asking him specific facts and whether he knows about them and whether he took them into account for purposes of his opinion. I think he's allowed to do that. Go ahead.
Thank
Right,
you, Judge.
You tell him, Judge.
So my question is, you were not present
on April the 9th of 2018 when these crimes occurred, correct?
No, sir.
And as a matter of fact, the opinion that you have is based on the observation of others, documents of others, sources of others, correct?
As well as my own.
As your own, like what, for example?
Interviews with Border Patrol agents, living in a border community for half my life and living among Border Patrol agents, interacting with them socially in the classroom, informal professional interviews and conferences, etc.
But isn't it true, though, that your studies in interviewing these agents would be focused on the, I think you mentioned, and I haven't had the benefit of knowing what you were going to testify here today, but I take it that your background is on around the area that you mentioned about drug trafficking.
Correct.
Can you tell us more about that?
Yes. Ciudad Juarez, as probably many of you know, is one of the centers of drug trafficking in the world and one of the centers of drug violence. And I had worked the first half of my career in Mexico and was very fascinated with everything to do with Mexico. But living in El Paso and seeing this tremendous, basically, holocaust of violence related to the drug issue, I decided I needed to focus on that. And so I began to talk to everybody I possibly could and go to Ciudad Juarez and meet with people and learn about the drug business. And so I learned and interviewed a lot of drug traffickers and drug dealers and so on, and people that were affected by the drug violence. And I also talked to law enforcement agencies of all types to try to understand their perspectives on this. And so this became the focus of my research. But then I also broadened it out to many aspects of border society, including farming and including food and many other things, to try to understand how people live on the U.S.-Mexico border. And so law enforcement, of course, plays a very big role in that, and the Border Patrol specifically.
I got you. And I certainly appreciate all the work that you've done, because it is helpful in the I'm sure that information can be relied upon by law enforcement agencies to better do a better job. But you'd agree with me in this case that this case is unrelated to anything having to do with drug trafficking. This case.
This particular case, I would say in terms of the direct facts of the case, no, but I think that drug trafficking and the fight against undocumented immigration is the purpose of the Border Patrol. And so,
and I wholeheartedly agree. Their mission is to protect the border, illegal drug trafficking, illegal entry, to stop terrorists, all of those mission statements, correct? But more specifically, I need you to answer that in this particular case, and you said you've already studied some of the documents and you're familiar with Mr. Burgos's being found guilty of the double homicide of a girlfriend of his and his own son, that there was no elements of drug trafficking in this case. Yes or no? That's all I'm asking.
Well, I think the answer is a little more complicated.
And I understand, but my question to you right now is that, is my statement correct that this case did not have any elements of drug trafficking? This is a double homicide of his girlfriend and his own son.
I guess the way I would answer this is that an individual is part of a group, part of a family, part of a community, part of a workforce. And so their life is affected by all of those things. As I said, the Border Patrol, one of its primary missions is fighting drug trafficking. So the Border Patrol is very much focused on that effort, and that influences the lives and the work of Border Patrol agents. And what I'm saying is that an individual is part of the group, so the defendant here is part of the Border Patrol, and so drug trafficking and undocumented immigration are always part of the life he lived when he was in the force.
And I agree with you, but I also and what we're trying to see is really if your opinion is relevant to this case, because obviously the information within your field is widely accepted, but it just may not be for this particular case. I mean, do you have any information that Grizelda Hernandez was engaged in drug trafficking at the time she was?
I think the witnesses answered answered this.
That's been asked and answered, but I think what the focus of the voir dire should be on the data. First of all, his opinion. His opinion was, I think, has been expressed that it's going to be the effects, I believe, that the culture of the Border Patrol and the Mexico-U.S. border and its work as affects somebody in a role similar to the defendant, and so especially in the supervisor capacity, and that can be used for mitigation purposes. We're not in the guilt and innocent phase of the case. We are in the second phase, and I think that's where does his facts and data come with regard to that opinion?
Okay.
Because I think that's been expressed.
I'll ask him about his sources. But your sources in this case, as you testify, come from interviewing people. Is that correct?
Well, I interviewed one Border Patrol agent, and I interviewed Mr. Burgos, and I was supplied with a lot of documentation from his attorneys about the case.
And when did you interview Mr. Burgos?
It was several months ago.
Okay, so you interviewed one Border Patrol agent.
Right.
You interviewed Mr. Burgos.
Yes.
And you said that you also have relatives or family members or former students who are in the Border Patrol. Is that correct?
That's part of what I said.
Correct. And that you have relied on them in all of these that you've described collectively in reaching your opinion.
Right, but I think you're minimizing what I have done and what I said. I said I'm trying to understand the role of an individual within the Border Patrol in relation to the Border Patrol itself and the border community and the border culture. And so I've relied on vast numbers of sources of 20 years of observations and interviews and research. And I know all the leading scholars, and I've met with many high-ranking officials in law enforcement. So it's a broad base of knowledge. It's not just a narrow sample.
And do some of your sources include empirical? Have you done empirical testing
Welcome, everyone.
on this subject matter?
We're waiting.
I should explain that anthropology is part of the National Science Foundation, but our methodology is not a laboratory methodology. What we do is we observe people, we talk to people, we interact with people, and we collect all of those bits of data, and that is the source of our information. It's quite different from psychology or the natural sciences involving laboratories and clinical experiments or testing. We don't usually do testing as such.
So it's more a historical type of information?
And contemporary. It's about interaction, what we call participant observation, interviewing people, spending time with them, observing them over the long term.
And these of course, you say in interviewing and talking to people.
Yes, sir.
And how is that verifiable?
I take notes. Sometimes I record the interviews. It depends on the circumstances. But this is done in a very systematic fashion. It's called ethnography. There are hundreds of books written about this. It's a standard methodology of anthropology and sociology.
So is this would be described as a soft science?
It's part of the National Science Foundation. It's a science.
But is it a soft science?
I'm not sure what you mean by that. I mean,
well, I'm meaning that, like you said, there's no. It's not in a laboratory. There's no measurable or quantifying.
But that does not make it any less valuable. It's a different methodology.
And I'm not saying that it's not valuable, and I'm not trying to argue with you. I'm just trying to establish that the information that you're relying on is through outside sources, correct?
No, sir. It's through interviews, through observation, through collecting all manner of information relative to human beings and their place within groups.
Yeah, but those sources are outside sources. That you interview, people you talk to are outside sources.
Judge, I believe we're into just argumentative questions.
I'm
not there yet, but
I'm not trying to argue. I'm just asking that these sources, they're outside, you rely on information given to you by other persons in the field.
Well, for example, I wrote 2 books about Ciudad Juarez. I spent 20 years, well, actually 30 years going to Juarez and talking to people of all stripes and spending hours and hours and days there. This is deep immersion. It's not something superficial.
And I'm not saying it's superficial. I'm just trying to make the point that when you, for purposes of documenting and interviewing, you're recording either by writing or through tape recorder.
Judge, this is clearly argument.
No,
This
it's
is
not.
a
I'm
question.
trying to establish a
Just,
source.
I'm not, I'm trying to, in other words, you're trying to actually see documents. It's not DNA testing, basically. It's not that, but we're not talking about DNA. I guess he's talking about, and I guess when you say outside sources, that's what you're saying. In other words, you didn't discover it yourself type of thing. You talked to a Border Patrol, that's an outside source. You talked to somebody from Mexico, it's an outside source. I guess it's you talk to a third party type of thing, right?
That's
I
all
guess-
I'm trying.
Yeah,
That's all.
and it doesn't make it, the court will take all that into account, that's the data that he has, and the question for the court then would become at the end, whether the court would find that the expert has sufficient factual basis for his particular opinion. That's basically it.
So, in gathering your data, what sort of principles do you rely on that make it reliable?
Well, we have a professional obligation and ethics to report the facts, to report things objectively and truly, and to not distort information, to not lie, to not change the information.
So, but you're reaching conclusions about historical facts. Is that right?
Contemporary and historical circumstances.
Thank you all for being here through all of this. I
And
really appreciate you.
your
Thank you.
the reason you believe your studies in the bicultural and border and interior Mexico and drug trafficking is relevant to this case. How?
Well, I've studied more than drug trafficking, but my point about it was that through the course of studying drug trafficking, I also studied the other side of the equation, which is law enforcement. And on the border, you have a very heated situation of conflict between U.S. law enforcement, Border Patrol, DEA, et cetera, and criminal organizations in Mexico and immigrant smuggling organizations. And the nature of the work in the Border Patrol is in this context of conflict, of people that are trying to break the law, people that are trying to enforce the law. This creates and informs the culture of the Border Patrol, which is the context of the individual agents.
Okay, are you aware, if you studied this case, that Grizelda Hernandez was not breaking the law that day? Are you aware of that?
I mean, I don't know the whole circumstances, but I presume that she was not breaking the law.
Do you know that she was pushing her stroller on a trail?
Again, Judge, I object. We're way beyond this.
Sustained.
Okay. Do you know that this was not a drug smuggling case?
Yes, sir.
And you also know this was not a human smuggling case?
Yes, sir.
And you know that Mr. Burgos was not intercepting any criminal activity on the border at the time of this
Judge, I
crime?
think we're just repeating.
No?
Just ask an answer.
Okay. Just a few more questions. Let me see.
Amber, if they go there, I'm going to be so mad. They better not. It's not because of his job. It's not the testosterone. It's not because the victims, right, look like smugglers or something. They better not go there.
If I may interrupt you with a question for the expert, Ms. Johnny's, and then if you'd like to ask questions on that. Just want to make sure that we get what your opinion is going to be with regard to this case. Specifically, your opinion about you're not here to testify on Border Patrol in general, but even though that has an effect, your opinion about specifically your opinion with regard to how Mr. Burgos fits that particular category.
My understanding, my role in the case is to explain the culture of the border, the culture of the Border Patrol, and how that affects individuals such as Mr. Burgos.
Okay, so culture of the border and the culture of the Border Patrol and what they do, and how that affects Mr. Burgos' life in general.
Yes, in his work life.
But,
All right, hold on a second.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And if you can think about it in the context of mitigation, Mr. Alanis.
yes, sir. So then, I'm basically trying to establish that all of your years as a PhD and your studies of the Mexico culture are greatly relied on gathering data provided to you by other persons.
Well, that's half of it. The other half is direct observation.
And can you explain that methodology in order that you make your conclusions?
Yes, I mentioned it before. It's called ethnography, and we also
It's
describe
called what,
it.
Doctor? I'm sorry.
Ethnography.
Ethnography, okay.
ETHNOGRAPHY. And it involves participant observation. I live in a border community. I interact with a very large number of people, and I'm always aware of how they talk, how they behave. I'm constantly asking them questions. It annoys my wife all the time because I'm interviewing people at the Whataburger, but that's the way I function. And in the course of that, you learn a lot about people. It's, as I say, anthropology is part of the National Science Foundation. It's a very respected discipline. It's worldwide. My department is, in fact, the original home of the field of border studies, which is now a global academic field. It's a very important social science field, and it took the U.S.-Mexico border as its paradigmatic case. And our department founded that field. We just got a PhD approved by the University of Texas system, and our primary emphasis is the border. And so we are in the border, we're on the border, we live the border. That's how we do research in anthropology.
And I completely understand that, and I do see the importance of your studies. But by your own admission, more than half of the information here is relied on by your interview and documenting of what people tell you. When you interview them, you talk to them at Whataburger, you talk to them at the marketplace, you talk to them when you get a haircut, correct?
Yes, sir, and we consider that a positive thing.
Okay, but those are, in the court of law, those are known as hearsay statements. Do you understand what that means?
Mr. Alanis, and experts are allowed to rely on hearsay. Remember that. So let's try and shorten the hearing up with new information or new question with regard to that.
And you did testify that you did interview Mr. Burgos. How did you use that information?
Well, I wrote up my notes from the interview to understand him more and put it in the context of the data and documents I was given about the case. But I was not asked primarily to study Mr. Burgos or write a report about Mr. Burgos. My role, as I was told, was to talk about the culture of the border and the culture of the Border Patrol and how it would affect an individual such as Mr. Burgos. But given that I was in Laredo, then yes, I took the opportunity to interview him to understand the case better.
So in studying Mr. Burgos, were you able to determine that he had a stellar record, that he had a good record with the Border Patrol?
My understanding is he had a good record with the Border Patrol, yes.
Correct. So how do your studies in Mr. Burgos' performance as a Border Patrolman, how do they, what's the connection between your studies and Mr. Burgos?
Well, as I say, my primary role is not studying Mr. Burgos. It's to understand the case and especially add context and information about the border setting, the Border Patrol, the life we live here, and how that affects an individual such as Mr. Burgos.
But you're not a psychologist.
No, sir. But as I said, anthropology studies groups, and we're all part of groups, whether it be ethnic groups, family groups, community groups. countries, nationalities.
So-
And these influence our behaviors, our mindset, how we live.
So how does the culture affect Mr. Burgos? What's your opinion on that?
Well, I believe if I'm asked to testify, allowed to testify rather, that I will talk about how the culture of the Border Patrol influences individuals, and they become part of a group Border Patrol culture, and they behave in certain ways.
Well, okay, but Border Patrol are law enforcement officers that enforce the law.
Correct.
They're not a culture that promotes breaking the law.
No, but in any culture you have people that break the law, and especially on the border, given the temptations of corruption and all the conflict and violence involved in enforcing the law, there will be infractions, there will be mistakes. I think that's expectable, predictable.
And I would understand if this was a bribery case, because you encounter people in the brush or trying to we see these, you've seen them too, cases of agents letting loads
I'm sorry,
go by.
The district attorney is just giving opinions.
No, I'm not.
If we could,
Well,
this is a-
I'm assuming that he's going towards the question, so I'm going to give him a little leeway. Go ahead.
So in our line of work, and you've seen it before too, and I appreciate what you say, that drug trafficking culture spilling over or its tentacles coming into affecting agents in them doing their duties, correct?
Correct.
Sometimes people become corrupted, correct? For money,
Yes.
Yes, sir.
okay? And in that aspect, when there's that temptation, and we've seen it in El Paso, and we're in Laredo, Texas, so we have similar cultures, correct?
Absolutely.
And that those studies that you have, that immersion of agents working, trying to intercept, capture, infiltrate, sometimes results in agents committing crimes,
Yes, sir.
correct? Okay. But none of that was present in this case.
No, but what I'm saying is that drug trafficking and the fight against undocumented immigrants creates a culture within the Border Patrol in which Border Patrol agents have to be on alert all the time, that they're apprehensive, they're tense, it's a very difficult job, and it shapes their lives in many profound ways. And so even if one particular instance isn't involving drug trafficking, that's sort of the context, the backdrop of the work of the Border Patrol.
Okay. I don't have any
Thank
further
you.
questions.
Any questions?
Sir, within anthropology and sociology, there is quantitative methodology, is that correct?
Yes,
And there's also qualitative methodology, is that correct?
that's correct.
And is one preferred over the other?
Well, in the field of anthropology, the majority of anthropologists are qualitative, and it tends to be favored over quantitative.
And the qualitative data, that's relied upon by anthropologists throughout the field, is that correct?
Yes, and it's what I was just describing, the ethnography and the collection of data in the way I have.
And that was, and I think you answered this question, that was the description that you gave to the district attorney when he discussed you irritating your wife by interviewing everyone. Did I understand that correctly?
Yes, sir.
Okay. If I could just have 1 moment. Thank you for your patience, Professor.
Are we moving on?
Pass the witness.
Okay, thank you, sir. You may step down.
Okay.
We'll let you know here in a minute whether you're going to stick around or not.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Careful on your way down.
But he does have a very calm voice, right? Mindy, welcome.
You, again, this is a 705B hearing. They're very common when there are experts in an area. Normally, I see them more when the defense actually asks for them as opposed to when the state does. But in this case, because there's ample experts in the punishment phase of this case, I know we're going to see them here. And we are limited. As opposed to a Daubert or Kelly Robinson hearing, we are the focus is not like the focus would be on a Daubert, Kelly, or Robinson type of hearing, the focus is not the reliability and even the relevance of an expert scientific theory and methodology with the way it would be in that particular examination. This focus is merely on the specific factual type of data that supports the expert's conclusion, and that's if the court finds that in fact it does, in the context of its opinion, then it must allow especially in this type of case, in a mitigation type of case, it must be heard, and in this type of case, in this mitigation type of realm, I'm going to allow him to testify as the expert in the particular opinions that he's going to give, that he's listed here that he would give, and not go outside of that, basically. In other words, whatever he told us here today with regard to what that is, as long as he stays within those lanes, we'll be perfectly fine with this testimony. All right. So we're going to call him as a witness, or we're going to get the jury in, and then call him right back.
Your Honor, but just to be clear, and he did testify that he wasn't here to testify about Mr. Burgos.
Well, he was here to testify about Mr. Burgos. I understand. Mr. Burgos, not Mr. Burgos the individual, but Mr. Burgos the person who is part of a group, Border Patrol agents that work the border.
I would just want the court to instruct that we're clear on those parameters. That I'm understanding, just so that we're all on the same page, that he's going to talk about the world that is comprised of Border Patrol, what they deal with, the outside.
The culture of the Border Patrol. It says the culture of the border and the culture of the Border Patrol, and the work. What does it say? And his work. Oh, I've made a note here, and I can't even read my own notes.
And that Burgos works in that world.
The work effect of his work something.
And that Mr. Burgos that's the world that Burgos works.
And he is a part of that. And as a result of that, he adopts that culture. He adopts that particular work environment, work ethic, work whatever it is that may be. I heard him say that.
And for the record, I intend to ask the exact questions that I asked during the voir dire, which is, you are not here to present an individual opinion about Mr. Burgos-Aviles, and I expect the answer to be consistent. No, he is not. Now, if the district attorney opens that door and goes into that, I can't control that.
Right. Okay.
No.
Thank you, sir.
Sure
well, this is you did that for purposes of hearing, but that's a different reason. Yeah, absolutely. All right. So let's get ready to get the jury in. It is 10:15. We're 15 minutes late on them. I think we're okay. So
15 minutes.
They're not going to have a break this morning. So if y'all need to get a break right now, because I'm sure by the time we're done, we'll get ready to come in. They'll take about 5 minutes to do that.
No.
So if you need to take a break right now,
no.
break, go ahead and do it now, because we're not going to break until we break for lunch. I think. Having said that, I say that with extreme caution. So, thank you. The what? Oh yeah. Miss Jackman, do you remember we talked yesterday about?
And she's here.
Where's Mr. Boggs?
No, I was talking about
Are we supposed to hear this? Jackie, can you imagine?
Yes, Exhibit 12 is now coming in, because it was subject to him being able to testify.
Can you imagine Jackie Collins? You say, so basically you need to be extra cautious with Border Patrol officers, really. Can you imagine how pissed off the other Border Patrol agents are? You know, I'm like, wait, what? So it's because of the culture now? I mean, well. Oh, damn. So that was just a hearing. I think they called it a 750B or something like that. It was a hearing to see if that witness would be allowed to testify. The judge has decided that he will be. I don't know why the judge says, okay, we're 15 minutes late for the jury. Did you tell them to come in at 10? Because yesterday we just knew trial time was a normal time. But here we are. So we're just 15 minutes late and they don't think they're going to break till lunch. I hope not. Lunch is normally at 12:30. Could we at least get through 2 hours of productivity before lunch? Oh, my word. Sure. That's why we got Judge Judy over here. That's right, Judge Judy. You tell there. Hurry it up, people. Hurry it up. Oh, my gosh. So, Ken, welcome to Grizzly $1 supporter. AC says the defense is trying it all. And I know they're just doing their jobs. And while I do mine, I'm going to say they're really starting to annoy me. They're so annoying, Orwood. Okay, but they're doing their jobs, we understand. But really. So, Dr. Gupta and the testosterone excuse that did not really work for the defense, that backfired on them, in my opinion. And today it's like Border Patrol culture. Huh? That's what it was. No. Just to throw this guy in whatever cell he's going to be in. He's going to complain about it being too cold and he doesn't have a mattress. Doesn't have enough hair gel. He's going to complain no matter what, like he thinks it's a resort. Just throw him away there. Never look back. So, Bernie says, so tense at work he messaged a lady friend. No, I know, he's so tense at work that he can take crotch pictures, okay, to show his little micro whatever. Like, make me so hot right now. Remember that? Remember all the disgusting messages 5 minutes before he committed a double murder of a mother and child. He's just so stressed. You know what I mean? It must be the culture, right? Oh my word. I can't imagine. What if Agent Lara was in the room? Agent Dennison as well? Ooh, they would not be liking this. They'll be like, sorry, what? Now we need to bring them back. Can we bring them back in? That's what I would want to do as a prosecuting attorney right now. Oh, okay. Could we call Agent Lara back on the stand? Because he's going to tell them what the culture is really like. And that is no defense strategy whatsoever. Okay, so I pinned a little message there. I say members. Remember, slow-mo doesn't apply to you. And we do have a lot of members. So thank you so much all for being members. But if you could possibly type just a little bit, just tiny little, just throttle back a little bit, less frequently, it could help me see the messages. Because right now they're going like this. And I'm like, what? Let's catch one. KB Kansas says, Burgos is the exception, not the rule as far as Border Patrol agents go. I know, right? Anna says, can they be rebuttal witnesses? I wish. My gosh. Let's see. Wait, I missed one there. There we go. Nope. Okay, so Annie P said, I think there's more of an anthropological argument against Burgos, the individual, as a member of a group allegedly plagued by corruption. Yeah, I agree. Right? Oh, man, there's a comment that I saw fly by that I missed now. And now I can't remember what it is. Hey, Heineman's laughing at me, my micro, whatever. Yes, that he's like in his uniform. This guy disrespects his job like you've never seen. He cheats on his wife all the time with co-workers. He sex while on the job. He's clearly not focused at all. No amount of safety in his brain. Literally sexting, lures people, an ex-girlfriend and his son, to a site that he's supervising and murders them. And then he's the one to find them. This is how he treats his job. He's apparently sexting with his wife's boss's wife. There's all of that. I mean, he also just quickly goes home at like 10 in the morning. Just to change, you know. Oh, man, it's making me mad. Okay. Valene says, trial proper resumes in 10 minutes-ish. We mean 30, right? Just a quick facility break. Yeah. How many facilities do you have? Because it sounds like one for everyone. And so they take 30 minutes. Wow. Jay Phillips says, gee, what happened to Jaden testifying? I don't know. All I heard from someone in the court, which is objection hearsay, is that he was intimidated. He was scared. And that makes total sense to me. Creole Lady says, I'm sorry for typing so much. No excuses. Thank you, Creole Lady, for your sticker. Don't worry, I understand that the emotions are running high and people want to type, and it's okay. It's just, you know, normally slow mode is, the way that YouTube is structured, slow mode normally helps to just try. It's not that I don't want to slow anyone down. I hate it when I go to live chats and it's slow mode. But if we don't put slow mode on, we literally can't, myself and the mods, you cannot see the chat. And then we get the next angry troll type email of like, why can't you see my comment and why don't you give me attention and you missed my sticker and you did this and I'm like, what? So we try our best. But now, I guess one could say the mistake I made was making my membership $1, because you don't really see that on YouTube. That's $1, and a content creator gets half of that, so 50 cents for a month, right? So that was my generous mistake, and it's kind of biting me in the ass because we have a lot of members, and so slow mode doesn't work. They do not have a way. YouTube does not yet have the ability to then say, whoa, well, now what do we do? Even if I don't want to ever do this, but if I were to put the chat on members only, it's still not going to help because there's a lot of members, a lot. And I really appreciate it. Okay, so let's see what you guys are saying. Amanda Smith says he should be held to a higher standard because he's a Border Patrol supervisor. I know, right? Oh, this guy. Yeah, okay, so Wendy says Border Patrol is a U.S. job. Department of Homeland Security clearly has no respect for the badge, no respect for his wife, no respect for human life, let alone Border Patrol culture. Yeah, I mean, no, he was also trying to pin this on Agent Lara. Remember that? Okay. Trying to see what you guys are saying. Wait for it. Carmen says, does anyone know if Amy is Puerto Rican? I believe so. I believe Amy and Ronald are Puerto Rican. I believe so. That's what I've read. Sam Jane Jones says, I like the doctor, but this shouldn't be relevant in this case. As you say, I bet other border agents will be pissed. Right? We need Detective Reyes back on the stand. We need Border Patrol Agent Lara and Dennison back on the stand. I wish it could be like the whole group could fill the courtroom. Hey, if you're watching and you're Border Patrol in Laredo, Texas, get your butts over to the court, fill that courtroom up, and then just look at Burgos, okay, as they explain the culture and that he could have been tense. My word. Okay. Brent says, this is irrelevant testimony. That's right. Elder Garcia, the culture in our border is to protect, provide, respect everyone, especially the weakest, no matter who they are. Yes. But anyway, hello everyone, and welcome to day 11, morning session. It's been a bit of a rough start with a hearing that we did not anticipate or expect. That's okay. There was a hearing to figure out if the judge would allow a witness to testify, Dr. Howard Campbell, who's an anthropologist and studies Border Patrol culture. He's going to allow him in, yes. So that's going to be probably the entire morning session. I'm not sure at what point. What's not making sense to me is at what point, because I'm very much a sequence type of person. As you know, I hate saying it every time. Because like, how do you know there's a pilot in the room? They'll tell you, right? Patrons, members, you know what I'm talking about. But when I was a pilot, everything is about sequence, right? There really is a correct order of things. You can't just do whatever you want in any order. And I'm just like, isn't the state supposed to rest their case? Isn't it supposed to be Dana Sarkis on the stand right now? Isn't there supposed to be her cross-examination? Then the state rests their case, and then these witnesses can come forward. Please, can we finish the sequence correctly? Luna says, thank you for sharing your time with us. Thank you so much, Luna. I really appreciate it. Cherry says, I'm still hoping for a troll comment reaction. Lol, let's see. 1. Sorry I'm late, G. Can you start over? Or 2. Where's G from again? 3. Victim blame. 4. Pay attention to me. Yes, exactly. Pay attention to me. Well, we do troll reactions, troll reenactments on my second channel if you've never seen that. Welcome, Jackie Smith. Really appreciate it. Yes, let's get Agent Lara back on the stand. The good guys. Oh man, his reaction. We're supposed to be the good guys. Remember that? Oh, that's actually a good one to show, isn't it? Let me just see. Okay, wait. So they're all live now. Let me get that ready for us. KGNS News is live. Did they do anything? No. Their stream is still as it is. Law and Crime Network yesterday took theirs down for a bit to... the judge asked them to take out sensitive information, which would be... Speculatively, I would say the sensitive information was Amy's phone number, which we talked about. Rabbit, and it is out of mine, to clarify. My live stream, it's edited out as well. Rabbit says, with 9K watching, chat is speeding by, so please chat with courtesy. Thank you. Thank you, amazing chat and members. Thank you, Rabbit. Really, really appreciate it. That's so sweet. Okay. I just quickly want to not miss something. So, yeah, Lilac Peach says, Grizelda is not a mistress she didn't know. I know. We know that, right? We know. Thank you so much. Okay. So what I'm going to do quickly, I just want to get this other stream here. Hold on. Hold on, everybody. KGNS News. TV8. Laredo local news coming right up. Okay. There we go. Is it boosted? Let's check. We turn it off and we turn it back on. We boost that. Okay. Very nice. Very nice. We boost that sound. You know, criminal profiler John Kelly? We chat often. Like sometimes we just have like coffee time, you know, behind the scenes. And so he says, it just reminded me that of now. He says, you're always like left and right and left and right. He says, I'm in pilot mode on here. Just like the screen and that screen and this and all the things. Yes, there's always a lot going on. Musafi says, this guy's just going to take the jury off. His job made him do it. They will revolt. Maybe that's good that they will revolt, right? That's what I'm thinking. Okay, so let's go to my channel quickly. Wait. Here we are. Find the shorts. Here's the community post I talk about, guys. You go there. I've made a community post today if you're wondering, because some people are like, wait, what? Virgo says amazing coverage and a wonderful community. Thank you so much. Okay, so home, videos, shorts, live, playlist, community, membership, store, channels, about. Okay, all those things. Anyway, let's find... Look, I made one for you guys for Fury. Okay. And let's see. Where's that? Yeah, this one. Now, let's see the culture they're talking about, huh?
Should we take a break?
I'm good, sir. Here I'm thinking we're supposed to be the good guys. He's supposed to be watching my back.
Hold on. Give me 1 second.
And I broke.
Mm-hmm.
I was heartbroken.
1 second, Agent. Just going to question and answer basis, Mr.
I'm good, sir.
Boggs.
Thank you, Your Honor. I was heartbroken.
1 second, sir.
Yes, Your Honor.
Just a second, sir. We're going to take a short break.
Yes, Your
Like,
Honor.
that's it. So,
Should we take a break?
culture, huh? I could just imagine what Agent Dada's feeling. CZ says, Grizzly to crime. Jason Palmer is in the chat. He worked with Burgos as a Border Patrol agent. Well, Jason Palmer, unfortunately I missed your comment because there's a lot of people here and I want to see it. But can you please email me grizzlytruecrime@gmail.com. And if you could, please, sounds so like detective, like show any form of identification. Border. Jeep Sahara says, geez, the ultimate perfectionist. I like sequences. Do things in the right order. That's what's been so hard about this trial. It's not been very much, it's not really a very well sequenced trial. Things happen all over the place in all kinds of orders, right? Really? Regina says, Andres Garcia is also Border Patrol in chat. Welcome, welcome everyone. If you are Border Patrol and you worked with this freaking snotkop, as we call him, which literally means like snot head. It's a South African term, snotkop. It's an insult, right? And I mean, he does pick his nose whenever there's an awkward silence, so there's that as well. I could feel my snark tanks getting full. My word. Okay. But if you worked with him, oh yes, you have stories. You got dash cam, body cam, whatever, because we've seen some of those accounts as well. Oh, just tell me. Send me emails. Tell me. I will keep you anonymous. I always protect my sources. The only time I will say who emailed me is when you ask me to. Right? Sometimes people say, you know, you're welcome to use my name or whatever. If you don't say that, I don't. Tracy says, come with receipts. That's right. That's right. There you go. Monica L. Perez says, all law enforcement officers do not claim this guy. Mm-hmm. Dodie says amoeba is the word for this thing. Wow. Oh, shame. Ronna says that made me cry again. Ooh, that was a tough moment, I must say. And Agent Lara was really heartbroken. NP says, did you notice that Burgos tried to put suspicions on Lara's behavior in the first... He did. He did. And he made like... He doesn't know what Lara was doing there. What was he doing out there? I don't know. He was out there before me. And then, you know, with a glove that Agent Lara put in the back of his truck. All of that. Mm-hmm. Yes, I did notice. Yes, I did. Catherine Fraser says, respect for the Border Patrol agents in the chat.
Coming in.
Here we go.
Dr. Campbell, please.
Dr. Campbell coming back in. But this will be the rest of the morning until lunch, I would assume. Okay, let's just get this here. There we go. So we'll put this over here. Shall I say anthropologist? Professor at the University of Texas. Wait, let's say anthropologist. Studies. Border Patrol Culture Studies. I want to put as much information up there as possible for you guys. Okay. Andy Logan says, I can't tell time, gee. I had them at over an hour late. Yeah, an hour and 40 now. An hour 36. It's 5:36 p.m. in the Netherlands. They were meant to start at 4 in the Netherlands. My time. There we go. Nicole, thank you. Doubled motions to exclude expert testimony. Yurts and things says, is there an easy way to respond to a specific message? No. There's really not. Stefan, here we go. That's right. Texas time. Everything's bigger in Texas. Even the clock. Texas time. Even the breaks. Yeah. Cherry says, at least till lunch. This is Boggs' witness. Jazz hands Boggs just can't simply question a witness. He needs to do an entire theatrical performance. Flute, knees, thank you for upgrading your membership. J. Phillips says, who's next? It says it right there. Right there. Always look here if you guys do get lost. Maybe you're a little behind in the stream, I'm not sure. Paige Willow says he only studied Laredo BP culture in Hispanics to be exact. Okay. Anthropologist. Laredo Border Patrol culture. Hispanics culture? Really? Hispanics? Like that?
Thank you. Please have a seat. Mr. Boggs, did you want to make an announcement with regard to Ms. Arquez?
Judge, we would like to reserve our cross-examination, and if necessary, we will call her during the defense case.
So basically, you're not, if necessary, you'll call her during your case if you want to examine her.
Yes, sir.
All right, very well. Based on that, your next witness would be after Ms. Arquez. I'm going to release you for now, but you're not excused from
The rule.
this hearing. So we will stay in contact with you as soon as somebody else wants to call you up, if at all.
Okay.
Thank you. You're excused for now.
That sequence, it's too much, you guys. It's all over the place. Thank you, Kimmy, for becoming a super supporter.
Mr. Alanis, your next witness, if any.
El Paso.
Your Honor, the state will rest at this time.
Thank you.
State rests. Okay.
So, Mr. Peña and Mr. Boggs, the state has rested. Do you have any announcements?
Judge, we would call on Dr. Howard Campbell to the stand.
Dr. Campbell.
The state has rested. Thank you, Susanna. You tell them, Tracy. Who's saying that? Luckily, I didn't see that. Thank you so much.
Good morning, Dr. Campbell. I know that you've already been sworn in. Please have a seat right over here at the witness chair, and we'll get started, sir. Would you have a bottle of water here just in case you need it?
Oh, thank you.
Mr. Boggs, will you be doing the examination?
I will, sir.
You may proceed when ready.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Could you state your name for the record, please?
My name is Howard Blaine Campbell.
And are you currently employed, sir?
Yes, I'm a professor of anthropology at the University of Texas at El Paso.
And is that commonly known as UTEP?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And how long have you been at UTEP?
For 32 years.
Okay. And you said you're a professor of...
Slide that mic.
Sorry.
You said you're a professor of anthropology, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And does that mean that you have a PhD?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so is Dr. Campbell appropriate for you?
Sure. Yes, sir.
Could you tell everyone what anthropology means?
Anthropology is the study of human culture. It's how we live. It's the language we speak, the food we eat, the religions we practice, everything to do with being human. That's what anthropology is.
And, sir, if you could, I don't want you to, you're quite tall, but if you could not bend over, but just make sure that you speak loudly so that that
okay.
Microphone projects.
Yes, sir.
Is it on? It's on. And Judge, may I approach?
You may.
So I'm approaching with his been marked as Defendant's Exhibit 12. And do you recognize, take a moment, look through the pages, and tell me if you recognize that document.
Yes, I do.
Okay, and what is that document?
It's my curriculum vitae, which is a summary of all of my research and my career, my professional career as an anthropologist.
Okay, and is that a true and accurate representation of your curriculum vitae?
Yes, it is.
Okay. At this time, I ask that Defense Exhibit 12 be admitted into evidence.
No objections.
Admitted.
Sorry, I have a cough drop in my mouth. I'm sorry.
And he's a lawyer, remember? He has a cough drop and he's a lawyer.
So, sir, I'd like to go a little bit over come to this side. Your educational
Thank you, Maria.
background. Could you tell us a little bit about it?
Yes, I have a BA in anthropology from the University of Idaho, which is my home state. And then I have a PhD and 2 master's degrees from the University of Wisconsin-Madison.
And then after you received your PhD from the University of Wisconsin-Madison, where did you come?
I came to El Paso to UTEP, where I became a professor.
Okay. And have you been a professor at University of Texas, El Paso since that time?
Yes.
Okay. And do you hold any current titles at the University of Texas, El Paso?
Yes, I'm the chairman of the Department of Sociology and Anthropology, and I also have a thing called an endowed chair. It's a recognition and honor for my research and publications.
Okay. And I want to get to your publications in a moment, but have you testified before in court?
Yes, I have.
Okay. And how many times?
More than 100 times, I think.
And have you testified before Congress, for instance?
Yes, I testified in front of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee about drug violence in Mexico.
And can we talk a little bit about your, now let's talk a little bit about your publications. I'm showing on the overhead projector page 1 of Defendant's 7. This is a 2021 book, Downtown Juarez, Underworlds of Violence and Abuse, by the University of Texas Press. That is your book, is that right,
Yes.
sir? Okay. And in addition to books you published, have you published peer-reviewed articles?
Yes, I have.
Okay. And I'm showing page 2 of Defense Exhibit 7. I don't want us to have to go through all of these, but so for instance, so the fourth one listed here on narco, and could you pronounce that for me? I'll mess it up.
Narcocoyotaje.
Okay. Illicit regimes and their impacts on the U.S.-Mexican border, and that's from 2016, it appears. And is that a peer-reviewed journal?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what does it mean to be peer-reviewed? I don't believe I asked you.
It means other professors, other scholars review my work and decide on whether it's good enough to be published.
Okay. So it's not like they just saw your name and decided to publish it. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And within anthropology, what would you say your areas of specialization are?
My areas of specialization are Mexico, the U.S.-Mexico border, and drug trafficking.
Okay. And as a part of drug trafficking, what does that include?
I do extensive interviews and observations in Mexico and in the United States of the issue of drug trafficking. I also interview and observe law enforcement officials that are fighting drug trafficking. I've been doing this for about 20 years.
Okay. And when you say law enforcement involved in drug trafficking, does that include
The
border-
fight against drug trafficking, sorry.
Thank you for that correction. Does that include the Border Patrol agency?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you came here from El Paso,
Yes, sir.
and you lived and taught in El Paso for close to 27 years, is that correct?
About 32 years, essentially half my life.
And you've lived in Mexico, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And you study and teach on the border.
Yes, sir.
Now, you know that you're speaking to a Laredo Webb County jury who live on the border. What can you tell them about the Border Patrol and the border?
I think the Border Patrol is affected strongly by the issue of drug trafficking and undocumented immigration. So the Border Patrol is kind of in a vice. It's on the border in between Mexico and the U.S., and the Border Patrol is tasked with an almost impossible job, which is stopping the flow of tons of drugs into the United States by drug cartels in Mexico. So we have a war on drugs, and the Border Patrol and the DEA and other U.S. law enforcement agencies are fighting this war, but it's extremely hard to accomplish because the border is 2,000 miles long, and the drug cartels are heavily armed and well organized, and they have thousands of people working for them. And now also you have undocumented immigration, often controlled by criminal organizations in Mexico, equally well organized and well armed and effective. And so most of the drugs and most of the undocumented immigrants get into the country and illegally. And so the Border Patrol is facing this almost impossible task of creating law and order and security in a very chaotic situation. So I guess what I'm trying to emphasize here is that the Border Patrol is a very hard, dangerous, and stressful job, and it's fighting against high odds.
Now, you said you're an anthropologist, correct?
Yes, sir.
And that is, as I believe you said, the study of groups. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, you're not a psychologist.
No, sir.
Okay, and you're not here to give us an individual analysis of Mr. Burgos-Aviles. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Now, I have to ask you, you're an academic. Are you an egghead critic of the Border Patrol?
No, I'm not. Because I study criminal activity, I'm very concerned about law and order and security. And in fact, my wife has many relatives who are Border Patrol agents. I have great sympathy for the struggle of the Border Patrol and the DEA and other U.S. law enforcement agencies that are fighting, as I say, to control this very chaotic and dangerous border. And so even though I study these matters, I have sympathy for law enforcement. I don't have sympathy for criminal organizations in Mexico, however.
So, and you are aware that Mr. Burgos-Aviles is a former Border Patrol agent, correct?
Yes, sir.
And at the time of these murders, that he was actually a supervisor in the Border Patrol. Are you aware of that, sir?
Yes, sir.
Now, could you tell us what life is like for a Border Patrol agent?
As I said, I think it's hard, it's dangerous, it's stressful. Because the nature of the work is it's rough. It's out there along rivers, it's up on mountains, it's along a desert in brush, confronting enemies you can't even see, or people running at you here and there. They may be armed with guns, with knives. It's a hard job. It's a dangerous job. It's a stressful job. And people's shifts change. They work all night. They work during the day. They work in the heat. They work in bad weather. So I would say that even though it's a reasonably well-paid job in a border setting, it's extremely difficult work and very, very stressful.
Now, you said you study groups.
Yes.
Would you consider border patrol agents are a group?
Yes, sir.
Now, is there a culture of border patrol agents?
Yes.
And could you tell us about that culture of border patrol agents?
Yes, I would emphasize it's a very masculine culture. About 95% of the agents are male, only 5% female. And there was a recent report by a very good journalist called Erica McIntyre.
Can I object? I'm gonna object to hearsay. I'm objecting to hearsay.
He's an expert, Judge. He's offering his opinion. He's allowed to. is what I'm saying.
If you can predicate it with whether or not those are the type of articles or whatnot that he used to be able to form the basis of his opinions.
So, when you are studying the border and border patrol, do you look at articles and interviews and base your opinions on that data that you collect?
Yes, I do, and I conduct interviews.
Okay. And the opinion that you were giving about the culture of border patrol agents, is that a data source that you use to form your opinion?
Yes, sir.
Okay. If you could tell us, please, about the culture of border patrol agents.
What I was saying was that it's a very masculine organization because most of the Border Patrol agents are men, about 95%. Only about 5% are women, and recent reporting has discovered that there's a great deal of sexual harassment and abuse of female members of the Border Patrol, including in the very first class of recruits, one of the women was raped. And so I'm not saying that all Border Patrol agents are, masculine, hyper-masculine, macho, bad men. But what I am saying is that the Border Patrol is dominated by men, and so a male culture prevails within the agency.
So, for instance, is something like testosterone, is that a common used medication for Border Patrol agents?
I'm going to object to speculation on this. He hasn't established any predicate as far as, and this is way outside his expertise as far as testosterone. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna wait to see if you predicate that information with information that you received to form the basis of your opinion.
How much contact have you had with Border Patrol agents in your decades of studying the U.S.-Mexican border and law enforcement?
Very extensive. My university has 1,200 criminal justice majors. A very large portion of these criminal justice majors intend to and go on to become members of the Border Patrol. And so I've had hundreds of students that were either Border Patrol agents in uniform or they were future Border Patrol agents, and I've known these people after the time they were my students. And then in addition to that, through my wife's extensive family, which includes many Border Patrol agents, I've socialized with Border Patrol agents very often. Also, I raised 2 children in El Paso. They went to school. Many of the kids' parents were in the Border Patrol. I see Border Patrol agents in the supermarket. I see them all around town. As people in Laredo know, the Border Patrol is everywhere in a border town. And so through the course of that and through interviewing Border Patrol agents for my books and my articles, I've learned a lot about the culture of the Border Patrol.
And in those interactions and those interviews, those are things that you've relied on to give your opinion today. Is that what I'm hearing correctly, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so do you have an opinion about use of a medication like testosterone among Border Patrol agents?
Yes, I would argue that the culture of the Border Patrol, as I said, is very masculine. So you're talking about beer drinking, barbecues, football, big trucks, talking about women, bragging about sexual conquests and infidelities, bodybuilding, going to the gym, using steroids and testosterones to look buff, because, as I say, the Border Patrol is a very masculine culture. There's a lot of competition among men. There's male bonding, but there's also this desire to be the alpha male and stand out through weightlifting, through training, through being physically fit, having maybe tattoos, looking powerful in the uniform, and steroids and testosterone play into that.
And those things that you described, is that common in law enforcement generally?
Yes. I mean, I think the nature of law enforcement is that it tends to be masculine, it tends to be favor tough behaviors, and both male bonding and male competition.
Okay. Now, you said masculine. A word I've heard is machismo. Is that something that you would use to describe law enforcement culture, including the Border Patrol?
Yes, I would.
And what does machismo mean?
Machismo is a complex rooted in the Spanish heritage and the Latin heritage of many of the people of Latin America and the United States that are of Mexican descent, or say Colombian or what have you. And it's a kind of cultural complex in which a man has to be tough, dominant within his family, dominant over women, dominant over children, fighting back against any conflict, defending the family, defending his physical integrity. It's a well-known concept that's very common in Latino cultures, but of course also in white cultures, European cultures, but it goes by other words, other names.
So you're not saying just because someone is Latino or Latina that somehow this means they are definitely falling in that category, are you?
No, of course not, and especially Mexico and Mexican-American people are changing with the times. Mexico's a very modern country now. And so less and less do I see in my students and my colleagues and people I know this machismo complex, but I think it's very, very common within the military and within law enforcement still.
And things that are categorized by machismo, would coarse language or cursing be something that would be characterized by that?
Yes, there's a whole slew of vocabulary and jokes and terminology that are associated with being a macho, and so many references to sex and sexuality and to the penis, using words like chile or other common words to refer to a male's penis or to talk about a woman's vagina or what have you. These are part of the standard vocabulary of hyper-masculine males in all male groups oftentimes, but sometimes with women, to talk about masculinity, to talk about a kind of hypersexuality. This is part of the machismo complex that you find in many law enforcement agencies.
And I believe you mentioned infidelity within the Border Patrol and the law enforcement. Are there marital problems that are associated with this stressful and difficult job?
Yes, all the classic studies of law enforcement, police, Border Patrol, what have you, show high rates of divorce and infidelity because of the nature of the work, often with these changing shifts, all-night shifts, 24-hour shifts, a very stressful, dangerous, difficult life. But in addition to that, the hyper-masculine nature of police and Border Patrol and other law enforcement agencies encourages this kind of male behavior of infidelities, having women on the side, and so on.
So, and let me ask you about, within that culture, child rearing, especially for a male child, what that may be like, sir.
Typically, a macho parent would be domineering and bully his male children.
And could you tell me, are there any special challenges for a Latino who is not Mexican, say Puerto Rican, who is policing the United States-Mexican border?
Yes, I would say that a Puerto Rican and a predominantly Mexican-American or Mexican community such as the U.S.-Mexico border is a double minority. They're not fully accepted into the larger Anglo-Saxon society, but they're not fully accepted into the Mexican/Mexican-American society.
And could you tell us about what it means to be a supervisor within the Border Patrol?
Well, supervisors obviously have more responsibility. My understanding is that supervisors gain their position through seniority, through putting in time, through putting in years in the force. According to Robert Merrill, who wrote this great book called Patrolling Chaos, about the Border Patrol on the U.S.-Mexico border. Supervisors within the Border Patrol, according to Merrill, tend to be mediocre people. They're people that conform to the rules, kind of show up on time, do their duty, but they're not overly creative or innovative. The ones that are too creative aren't promoted. And so what you get is someone who's loyal, who's conformist, who shows up and does their work, typically.
Would it be fair to say that they're rule followers?
Yes, sir.
If I could just have one moment. I would thank you for your patience. I would pass the witness room.
Just need a minute.
I can see we're all equally frustrated here. Leanne says he certainly has Burgos' attention now. I have not seen him so attentive. Yes, because his ego is feeling like, yes, exactly, I'm macho, but you're not, bro. Macho is still not cool. You don't need to dominate over women and children. But this baby boy is not even that. He's not even that. I mean, there's also... Let me say this carefully. Identifying the problem is step one, but that needs to stop in all work environments and just
Good
society.
morning, Dr. Campbell.
Good morning, sir.
Okay, here we go.
As part of your preparation in this case, were you able to review the records in this case?
I was able to review hundreds of pages of documents about the case, if that's what you're referring to, yes.
Yes. Your Honor, I'm going to publish some graphic photos, and just for warning with
Trigger warning.
the audience.
Okay.
Judge, I would ask for the relevance of sensationalizing the graphic photos
No,
to
no.
the jury with Dr. Campbell on the stand.
He's on cross. He talked about machismo. I want to show him.
Yes, please, show. Yes. Overruled.
I'm going to
Now
publish these photos.
Yeah.
Got it? Thank you.
Let's see what macho baby boy did.
You talk about machismo
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah,
in
yeah.
Border Patrol agents. Would the act of killing an 18-month-old baby by cutting his jugular and carotid artery fall under machismo?
Trigger warning.
I would say no, that in the positive side of machismo, one is defending their family and the honor of the family and the individual.
So
And
this
here's
is
the
not
backfire.
machismo.
Well, this appears to be a dead child, and
Are you aware that this is Mr. Burgos' own child?
I presume so, yes, sir.
In the area of machismo, I'm showing you State's Exhibit 186. This is the mother of that child that was killed on the dirt trail when Mr. Burgos, on duty, on the morning of April the 9th of 2018. Is this machismo?
No, the original concept of machismo involved chivalry, defense of women and children, defense of honor, defense of family.
So he's just a baby boy then. A spineless creature? Maggot.
Have you ever taught at the Border Patrol Academy?
No, I have not, sir.
Are you familiar with the Border Patrol training manuals?
No, sir.
You testified as to agents taking taking testosterone. You say that you speak to agents at the supermarket, to your relatives who are your wife's relatives that are Border Patrol agents. Do you have a questionnaire where they answer these questions?
Yes, but also I do informal interviews.
Do you have any of that data with you as far as how many agents you've interviewed that have confirmed to you that they take testosterone?
I don't have that data with me, no.
Is that data that's recorded by you as far as them taking testosterone, or is that through verbal discussions?
The verbal discussions are data. I take notes on these.
I know, but
interviews.
I'm asking you specifically if you have a questionnaire that when you meet an agent, you ask them, hey, can you fill out this questionnaire where it specifically says, are you a testosterone taker?
Typically, I don't pass out a questionnaire. I engage in conversation with the people, and I have the questions in my mind. I have a list of questions that I ask people. But anthropology also involves all kinds of spontaneous, informal interactions, trying to collect as much knowledge and information about people's lives and their worldview as we can.
I understand that, but under questioning by Mr. Boggs, you're here telling the jury that every Border Patrol agent in the country's on testosterone. I would like to know.
He's characterizing the testimony.
Stay.
Okay.
Wait for my ruling.
Yes, sir.
Please. Rephrase your question, please.
My point is, you do not have it documented anywhere, the subject of agents on testosterone. Is that true?
I've seen studies that indicate that steroid use and testosterone among Border Patrol agents is common, and they have told me these things.
I understand, but I'm asking specifically you. If you, because you testified, I'm asking if you yourself have it documented of the number of agents that you've spoken to, if it's documented that they are all, or as many as they are, on testosterone, yes or no? Do you have it documented?
I have to explain and elaborate that.
I understand, sir, but my question is a yes or no question. If you testified to it, I'm asking you, do you have it documented as to how many agents are on testosterone that you've spoken to? Do you have it documented, yes or no?
I have it documented. I haven't counted the number of cases.
Okay, so you haven't counted the number of cases?
No.
Now, your expertise is in drug trafficking, correct?
Correct, sir.
Okay. Now, how many capital murder cases have you testified in?
I've testified or written reports.
That's not my question, sir.
Testified, I mean, it depends on what you're talking about. You're talking about oral testimony in court?
I'm talking about a capital murder case where the state of Texas is seeking the death penalty against a border patrolman, or any capital murder case. Have you taken the stand and testified to? That's all I'm asking. How many of those cases have you, under oath, testified to a jury?
I would have to review in my memory. I've testified in death penalty cases in Georgia, in Texas, in New Mexico. Some of these involved not actual court testimony. I'm just trying to, it's been 25 years, right? And these cases come and go. So I would say 4 or 5.
That you testified as an expert
In court,
witness?
yes, sir.
Okay. Your specialty is in the Mexican, and I want to make sure I get this right. It's regarding drug trafficking in the Mexican culture, in the bicultural border. What is your specialty in?
Okay, the first half of my career, I lived in Mexico. I worked on various aspects of Mexican society. I lived in Mexico City, I lived in Oaxaca, I now live on the border. So Mexican culture and politics in Mexico were the primary emphasis at that time, the first half. The second half, living on the border. I've been more focused on the culture of the U.S.-Mexico border, many aspects of the culture, farming, food, language, family life, etc. But because of the tremendous holocaust of violence going on in Ciudad Juarez, I began to focus on the issue of drug trafficking. And in order to understand that, I put together my first book called Drug War Zone, half of which is focused on interviews and descriptions of drug traffickers, and the second half is interviews and descriptions of law enforcement agents fighting drug trafficking.
Okay. And I certainly appreciate the importance of the work that you've done, Dr. Campbell. But this is not a drug trafficking case. Do you agree? And that's a yes or no question. This is not a drug trafficking
Judge, I
case.
object. This is an expert allowed to elaborate.
You can answer the question as you can, and if you can answer it yes or no, just let them know you can't answer yes or no, and then ask to see if you could elaborate. So
I prefer not to answer this in a yes and no way because it precludes a full understanding of the issue.
Okay, let me ask you more specifically. Is there any information based on the review of the documents in this case that the victim was trafficking drugs at the time that she was murdered?
No.
Is there any information in the records that you reviewed that the time that the baby and the mama were murdered, that they were engaged in human smuggling?
No.
Is there any information in the documents that you reviewed that either the mother or the baby were undocumented aliens illegally in the country?
Not that I know of.
Is there any information in the documents that you reviewed that either the baby or the mother assaulted Mr. Burgos?
No, not that I know of.
Is there any information in the documents that you reviewed that either the mother with the baby was involved in human trafficking?
No.
In the documents that you reviewed, are you or were able to confirm that Mr. Burgos was on duty at the time that he committed the double homicide?
Yes.
In the documents that you reviewed, were you able to determine that Mr. Burgos tried to stage the crime as if the victims were assaulted by other persons?
I mean, I'm not a forensic expert, so I'm not sure if my opinion is that relevant here.
Well, if you reviewed the documents, were you able to read the reports, the police reports?
Judge, objection. The witness has answered the question.
Sustain. Let's move on to the next question.
Nice. Oh, actually not nice. He sustained the objection. Not nice. Okay, next question. He's doing well though. Isidro Alanis, District Attorney. He's doing very well.
In reviewing the documents in preparation for this case, did you become aware that Mr. Burgos was subject of a child support case?
Yes, sir.
As part of your review of the documents, were you able to learn that Mr. Burgos summoned the victim and the baby in this case to the riverbanks on the morning of April the 9th of 2018?
Judge, objection. Mr. Burgos-Aviles is already convicted. This is the penalty phase.
It's still relevant.
I'm gonna sustain this.
Okay.
Let's move on.
In your study of the Border Patrol culture, do you know that there's 20,000, more than 20,000 Border Patrol agents in the United States?
Yes, sir.
Do you know how many have been convicted of capital murder?
I do not, but I think it's a relatively small number.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Anything else?
Dr. Campbell,
Yes, sir.
you understand that Mr. Burgos-Aviles is already convicted of capital murder, correct?
Yes, sir.
And the district attorney asked you about other border patrol agents convicted of capital murder. You remember that just a moment ago?
Yes.
And one of those agents was Juan David Ortiz, for instance.
I'm going to object. He just said he wasn't aware, and he's leading the witness.
It's an
Overruled.
And do you know the sentence that Juan David Ortiz received for his conviction for capital murder?
I believe he received life in prison.
Now, you were asked by the district attorney about what you knew about the victims in this case. Various questions. Like, were they engaged in drug trafficking? Were they engaged in illegal activity of any kind? Remember that a moment ago, sir?
Yes, sir.
Now, at any time during your direct examination, did you give any indication that the victims, Grizelda Hernandez and Dominic Hernandez, were engaged in any illegal activity?
No, of course not.
Now, you were also shown some very disturbing and graphic photos by the district attorney.
Yes, sir.
Do you condemn those acts
Yes, sir.
without reservation?
Yes, sir.
Right. And is anything you've told us today about life as a Border Patrol agent meant to excuse or justify the acts that were shown to you by the district attorney?
I'm going to object. He's testifying for
Let's
this.
rephrase your question so that he can answer that.
Well,
So sustain the objection as asked.
does being a Border Patrol agent excuse or explain a capital murder conviction?
It certainly doesn't excuse it. I believe that my testimony about drug trafficking and immigrant smuggling was to help understand the lives of Border Patrol agents and the culture of which Mr. Burgos was a part, but it does not excuse his actions.
Now, Mr. Alanis asked you about whether or not you used a questionnaire. Could you tell us about what immersive or qualitative research for anthropologists and sociologists mean?
Yes, the methodology we use is called ethnography, which involves participant observation, living with people, living around them, interacting with them, talking to them, spending time with them socially, conducting formal interviews, sometimes involving questionnaires. This is a standard methodology. It's part of the National Science Foundation. Anthropology is a well-regarded social science. Its primary orientation is qualitative, not quantitative. We don't usually count things.
And you said it's a part of the National Science Foundation? Did I hear you
Correct.
correctly?
Yes.
Now, I believe you told us you're not a psychologist.
No, sir.
Now, and as I understand, are you here to give a personal, individualized opinion about Ronald Burgos-Aviles?
No, I'm not, sir.
I pass the test.
Are you aware, in the case of Juan David Ortiz, that Mr. Ortiz, the other Border Patrol agent, gave a full confession?
I was not aware of that.
Are you aware that in the case of Juan David Ortiz, he did not kill his own flesh and blood?
I was aware of that, yes.
And are you aware that in the case of Juan David Ortiz, that he had been blown up by an IED in the Iraq War?
I believe I read that, yes.
No further questions.
Any other questions?
Are you aware that Juan David Ortiz was convicted for killing 4 people?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I have no further comments.
Thank you, Dr. Campbell. You are excused, sir. You will go about your business. Have a safe trip.
Thank you very much, sir.
You can take your water bottle with you.
Oh, I'll take one for the road. It'll be hot out
You
there.
can take another one and you can.
We've asked
Thank you, sir.
1430 says, as a retired official with TDCJ, this is
Approach,
clear.
please.
Burgos would always be a present danger in general population to not only uninformed staff, but to do you mean uniformed? Uniformed. I'm like, uninformed, uniform, not only to uniform staff, but to non-uniform staff, doctors, nurses, etc. He would be a threat, right? A danger to. Okay. Interesting. Wow. Okay, so I could take this off. That was, as someone said in the chat earlier, Juan David Ortiz was also a Border Patrol agent, also in Laredo, Texas, and he was sentenced in December of 2022 to life without parole. And as someone in the chat said, because the families in that case had not indicated that they want to seek the death penalty. He was a serial killer. He murdered 4 sex workers. So, I don't know. That was a good defense strategy, though, to be like, oh, a serial killer, what did he get? Life without parole. Because that could play on the minds of some of the jury of like, whoa, a serial killer got life without parole? So how are we going to sentence this guy to death? Well, he earned it as district attorney. Isidro Alanis said he earned it. It's not about deserving. He earned it. Yeah. Savannah said, are you aware that Juan David Ortiz did not kill his own baby? Puck the defense. Lego Mom said the judge did not like the defense bringing up another case. It's getting so tense, right? I mean, obviously, it is. And even the chat here is like, we all like, what? I'm getting worked up as well. I'm like, sorry, what? Wow. I'm just looking what yeah, backfired. Hilarious says, backfired. I think it totally backfired. Do you agree? Man. Jeanette says, Janet, what a complete waste of my time. Thank you for being here, though. Really appreciate that we were all in this together. Yes. Here for Truth says, Lenny, you missed nothing. The guy on the stand was questioned and accepted as a witness. He's now regurgitating stuff. Man. I mean, I'm sure the studies are very interesting and identifying the problem is great, but in this case, it's just irrelevant. The machismo and all of that's got nothing to do with the Border Patrol culture. With this case, no. Jeep Star says, I agree, G. Okay, the chat's just frozen again a little bit. It does do that for me. When it goes so fast, I can't put some of you on screen. Tanya says, don't think backfired, but useless. Let's see if that comes up. We'll get there again. We could put the chat on the screen. The chat goes so fast that even my software can't keep up sometimes. Casey Cat says, totally backfired. I think it backfired a little bit. A lot, actually. Especially District Attorney Isidro Alanis. He's so good. Oh, my word. So strategic. He's got such focus. And he knows exactly what to ask. And especially for the jury. Because it's not just about, I don't know. It's not just about doing a good job questioning or cross-examining the witnesses. Like, District Attorney Isidro Alanis knows this is all about the jury and what they're experiencing, what they're hearing, and he's so good at presenting those facts and bringing the focus back to the victims, Grizelda and Dominic Hernandez. Yes. Sonic Teal says, best true crime channel host and Mars, love you, G and Grizzly fam. Thank you so much, Sonic Teal.
I wish my facial expressions were calmer than they are. They don't speak to what I'm thinking, by the way, just for the record. And I'll instruct you to, in fact, absolutely ignore that as well
we will
in
try.
your deliberations. But anyway,
is it lunchtime?
the next witness will be a very lengthy, more lengthy witness than you've seen. So I don't want to start it right now and then interrupt it. We'll probably interrupt it for a short break in between, but
so
I don't want to start and then break in 30 or 45 minutes. What I want to do, and it's going to be a Zoom witness as well, so it's a little bit different. So I hate to do it to you right after lunch, but it's not a video deposition, which would have been even worse. This is it's a live witness called by Zoom, and is it she or he, Dr. Cunning? He will appear live by Zoom, and the questions will be asked by the individuals who are the parties and the lawyers who are here in the courtroom. So it should we're used to Zoom already, I think all of us are. So okay, so we're gonna call for lunch. We're gonna stay here working for about 20 minutes or so on other issues. You all are gonna go to lunch, come back, be here so we can get started at 1 o'clock. So be here before 1, please. Thank you. Remember that you're still under the same instructions that I've given you from the very beginning, and I reiterate to you, if you have questions on them, refer to the instructions that I've given you. The case is far from over, and so it has not been given to you for phase 2 of this decision making. Thank you.
That's right. Angela says, I did think the info about machismo being rooted in chivalry was interesting and part of what backfired on the defense. I agree. Okay, so the jury's leaving the room. They're told to be back at 1, so we know that's 2. And the judge is saying we mustn't judge him by his facial expressions, even though they're very intense at times. Okay, we're going to try not to read that too much. We won't anyway, but that was funny. He's talking to the jury anyway. But still, we're watching. We're the public. And also, now they'll be discussing something for about 20 minutes, which will be about 90, as we know. This is going to take us to 1. So buckle up, everyone, for a lot of useless arguing. I don't like to say that. I know they're doing their jobs, but you know how it goes in this case. They're going to be waffling and arguing on issues.
Dr. Cunningham, it's going to be a Zoom presentation. We're going to get connected to Zoom right now. We can open it up for you all. You all get connected. When I open it up, you'll be let in. That way we already have our audio working and everything. We won't be doing it at that time. So connect me right now. Let me go.
I hope so, Missy Q.
And y'all can have a seat, by the way, or you can stand, whatever I know you've been sitting for a while. I went to the doctor's. I did go to the doctor's office yesterday. I don't know if y'all need my doctor's excuse, but I was there. It was lengthy. Everything is all right. And Monday. Okay. Yes, we don't need the interpreter then. Is that correct?
No, sir.
All right, thank you. We'll let them know. Thank you, Anna, for reminding me of that. And then we're Zoom.
Yes, Van, these are not the kind of waffles we want. They've ruined waffle time for us.
Okay.
No one wanted to hear the doctor's
And then,
waffle
did we
about
connect that thing again?
the judge's
Oh,
waffle about going to the doctor. Shame.
let's
No
see.
one was listening.
Can you check that, Fabian? The speaker here, make sure it's, I hope it was connected. I don't think it is.
It's on.
Yeah.
Oh, but is it connected?
Christina, see you guys.
The
in 3
wire.
hours.
Follow the wire, please.
Yes, Ron.
Okay.
At least the state
That means
rested.
it's charged, so we're good.
Some progress was made.
Cindy will be admitted. Whoever wants to get admitted can get on now, so I can admit you all. I don't know if it's gonna be Mr. Elizondo, Mr.
Is
Vihid,
this a hot mic
Mr.
situation
Garza,
or
whoever's
what?
gonna be in. Thank you, sir. And Mr. Boggs or Ms. Shoneman, I'm not sure who's gonna get in over there. Okay.
Cameraman?
And it's the same meeting ID. And I'm gonna be the only host, because I don't want anybody else coming in while we're in here. And I don't want, the staff will be obviously in, but I'll control who comes in, and that way I can lower the volume and we don't have that loud
Aaron Aloha
when somebody
says,
comes in.
finish the story, Judge. Now I'm curious. Me too. You said it was lengthy, but he's okay. Sandra says, love your accent. Thank you so much. I'm South African.
Your Honor is aware, Dr. Cunningham will have a slideshow that he'll want to run during his presentation.
And I know that we can do that here. Cindy has shown me how to do that, so we'll, I think it's just a share screen.
Yes, you just have to give permissions, yeah.
And is that it, just share screen?
Interesting, Mace. Thank you so much.
Yeah, but do I need to do anything on my end to allow the audio of that to come in or something like that?
No, on his end, he'll have.
Starting to get uncomfortable. Here we go, because they're not showing the judge, and I'm like, I'm not sure if we're supposed to be listening to this. As you guys know, I'm protective over victims, families and friends, and the court. Because sometimes the court pucks up. Puck. Not the F word. Sorry about that. Sometimes they mess up, right? And they stream sounds or things we're not supposed to see. So we're always ready. I'm always on high alert. When you're streaming court proceedings, that comes with great responsibility. Well, you've already seen my community post, I'm sure. You can't just be like, the court did it, so we did it. No. Pistol Amy says, well, the judge went into the doctor's story after saying everyone's been sitting for a long time. I will put 2 and 2 together. right? So maybe he needs to get up a little more, not sit so much. Speaking of me as well, you know, go for my walks and my jogs, so that otherwise I'm sitting here for hours with you guys. Now, right now it's 11:30, yeah, Laredo time. So I guess we already know how this is gonna roll, right? We can go to the next stream, correct? Anyone object to that? Correct. I'm gonna cross-examine you guys now. Okay.
Put your name as
Sound is back on.
there, and then just prosecutor or state.
Kathleen H. Could that study promote stronger psychological guidelines for Border Patrol agents in the future? It could. And for any and every stressful job ever, right?
And
We saw the
can you
same
hear
in the
speak-
airline.
Oh, by the way, you need to remember, mute your devices and lower the volume. Yep, got it.
Judge, are you going to say when you're going for lunch, or what are you doing?
And so, can you hear us there on that speaker? And you might want to take that speaker near you. Well, when you get back, yeah, just disconnect it and put it near you.
Yeah.
No, this one. Yeah.
Cargar
When,
says
when we
take
get back,
more
so they
stretch
can
breaks.
continue to get fully charged.
I'm not hearing anybody through this one.
Let's see.
We
No,
can
you won't
hear
hear
you.
me.
It's
You'll
whoever.
hear somebody who's outside of here.
Okay,
And we don't have anybody
correct.
outside. Well, no, we don't.
I mean, could we test it with one of ours?
Yeah, get anybody.
I agree, Michelle.
Anybody outside with maybe a phone? Well, you know what? Let me get somebody from my office to.
Not yours.
Oh, we're
Nope.
echoing
Let
now.
me get my office to do it. No.
Thank you, Michelle. Oh man, they're calling people and everything. And
Yeah,
artists,
move it.
welcome, welcome.
Well, I don't mind doing that one because we're not going to share this with anybody.
You see, I don't know about this, people. I'm gonna be turning off their hot mic right now. This is the point. In my community post, I made a point. This is the point. When you're streaming, it comes with responsibility. Sometimes you're gonna have to mute the court. Now, yesterday when they read out the phone number, I did not anticipate that at all. There's no way to know they're gonna do that. And like, why are they reading out numbers? Are they old numbers? What's going on here? Anyway, but it's been edited out of my live stream. And right now, Fury's here. Fury, come here. Come say hi to all the Grizzlies. There we go. Here's our trial kitty. Yes, they're being very tardy, Fury. And everybody loves you. And you guys spoil him so much. And does anyone object to going to the next stream? Because you know the judge is just going to be sorting out his Zoom link now, okay, with whichever witness they're bringing in. It's going to be a hot mic situation, okay? And then on top of that, they'll be faffing about for 20 minutes or 30 and then go to lunch, and then we'll wait anyway. Do you agree? Fury. Fury, do you object or do you agree? He's so cute. Look at him. Hi, Fury. I love it when he comes to say hi to us in the trial, actually. This is my new favorite thing. When we're all getting all worked up, you know, here comes Fury. Look, you're famous, Fury. They're all saying, Fury. There's only 10,000 people looking at you right now. Look. And you go on. If you want to see more of him, he's on Patreon, you guys. Lots of very cute pictures. Look at him. Snarky boy. There's the judge. You see, he just got up. Did you see that? It's he's about to go eat lunch. Right? And you already had your pate, hey? Mm-hmm. Indeed. Yeah. Snark it up. Look in the camera and snark it up, Fury. He's like, yeah, look at that seal of doom. When we see that or the ceiling, we know. It's only going downhill from here. Look, Fury. Do you regret coming to this trial? It's a bad day, huh? It's a bad day, huh? You want to show them Snarky? Let's do jellyfish. I'm going to put him down now. Jellyfish? Look, he loves jellyfish. He hates jellyfish so much. Jellyfish, he hates it. Anyway, so I'm glad that Fury made our morning. We needed some of that because that was hectic. So I will see you. Wait, hold on. Right now, it is 11:33 in Laredo, which is 6:30. So 8 o'clock my time is the next one. So they say, allegedly. Let me quickly set up that time and then I'll lead you to the next stream. Yeah, Fury looks tired. He is tired. And you should see his pictures on Patreon. He is exhausted. Okay, so 6. They say they'll be back at around 8 p.m. my time. We'll set the stream up for that. Day 11, afternoon. Bree says, is he named after the Night Fury from How to Train Your Dragon? I don't know. Someone said, the people we got him from, that we adopted him from, said it's from a video game. But I don't know what video game, unless that How to Train Your Dragon has a video game. But we just kept his name because it suits his personality. He's a very interesting cat. Carolyn, welcome. I want to say that surname's right. Tuciarone. Did I say it right? Welcome to Grizzly $1 supporter. We almost need a snark tank just with fury, right? For members later. We shall see how our energy level's doing. I was up until 6 this morning. I was up all night. Worried. Actually for days about what I talked about on my community post. Oh my word. Whew. So go check that out if you haven't yet. Or I posted on Patreon or on Twitter. You can check that all out. I'll see you in the next one. Let's let this stream lead to that one. Let me give you the link if you hold on 1 second here. Okay. Next stream here. Next stream. I'll put it in the description box as well. Okay. I'm going to say next stream here. And it'll probably fly by for me too. Wait. Oh. Pin it. I want to pin. Yes. There we go. Okay. There we go. I hope that you guys get in a run, a walk, a stretch, some water, something, right? Does anyone know how jury votes for death penalty? They would deliberate as well. I'm sure they're going to deliberate. Well, maybe not. Maybe I shouldn't say I'm sure. I think they'll deliberate for a little longer than the 4 hours and 5 minutes because it's a big decision. But they'll deliberate. I wonder if the defense will close, will rest their case as well today. And if so, when are victim impact statements? You know? Is that tomorrow? Suzanne Donahue, upgraded membership. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Okay, so you've got the next stream, right? And then this one should lead you there. So let me do that. It takes a few little minutes to set this up. Just stand by, and I always do it while we're live, so that it works. Will it work? Yes, we're going there. Day 11, afternoon, and I really hope it's a productive afternoon. Ashlyn Ann, welcome to Grizzly $2 supporter. Okay, so pinned on the top there, next stream. Click on that, go there, notify me, or go chat over there, okay? I'll put it in the description box as well. Where else can I? That's about it. So I'll see you over there, okay? Go to the homepage, click notify me. I'll see you for the afternoon session. Okay, everyone. Bye.